Well, first, I want to congratulate everyone for being here, as I do every year. I think it's an achievement to find yourself, find your way to this community and to those ideas. I think you should congratulate yourself for identifying the amazing ideas of Ayn Rand and for being here and supporting ARI and taking part in what we do. So let me start by sharing my screen. I'll do a shorter version of the State of ARI this year, but I hope you'll enjoy it. So I'm assuming you can see my deck here. So I'm going to talk about what we did from last OCON to this OCON. It's just going to be the highlights. And we're celebrating 35 years of promoting Objectivism, so I'll talk a little bit about that. I want to start by refocusing us on what ARI is all about. And I gave that slide in 2018. I want to go back to it because it really captures everything that we're doing and the focus of what we're doing. So at the core of what we do, we're really here. We are here to protect and promote the work and the legacy of Ayn Rand, and in some cases protect it from attacks, all kinds of attacks. So at the core, this is what we are. And at the end of this presentation, I'll be joined by ARI's first CEO, Mike Berliner, who is going to join me to talk a little bit about what we're doing in the archives, which is something that I'm really excited about. After we do that, our charter and the way it was really kind of worded by Leonard Peikoff himself was to educate, to spread objectivism by means of educational activities. So that's what we are focusing on. And then on top of that, we have a community of people who are around us. And so a lot of our activities, including this one, is to facilitate a community and try to grow the community as much as possible. And then if we have more resources, we do outreach and we try to attract more people to get aware that this system of ideas exists and this author has so much to offer to the world. So those are the four circles we're focusing on. And to give you another perspective on our focus on what we do and what we choose not to do, because it's so hard, you know, we're here to fix the world. So we have to limit our focus in a very clear way. We are talking about four levels that we are focused on. The first one is awareness. To people who are asking themselves, who is Ayn Rand? Never heard about her. And the idea is to make them aware that she exists and there's an amazing system of ideas that they can get exposed to. After you get exposed to Ayn Rand, then hopefully you're motivated to go deeper and ask yourself, you know, what can I learn about Ayn Rand's philosophy? At that level, we call understanding. The next level, and of course, most of us spend most of our time in this kind of phase of trying to understand Ayn Rand's philosophy. But at one point, if you are motivated enough and you go through the body of work, you get to a point where you say, yes, I'm in agreement with Ayn Rand's philosophy and I'm living it. So that's another level of development. And then there is another step that some people take, which is commitment. I really want to do something about it in different aspects, different capacities, but I'm committed to promoting the philosophy of Ayn Rand. So let me talk about what we're doing in all those four levels. So at the level of awareness, what we're focused on are first and foremost the novels. I don't think there's anything that comes close to how attractive Ayn Rand's heroes are. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're doing to spread more novels of Ayn Rand to high schools and other audiences around the world. And the other thing we're doing in that awareness level is to try to create introductory content that is more geared towards what people are asking before they are exposed to a systematic, a set of ideas. So any question you can think about that, a young person would ask themselves, we're trying to put out content that answers those questions and then tell them there's more to it. You can advance And what we're trying to do in that level is really to inspire, to attract, to motivate people to learn more about the objectivism. Then on the understanding level, once one is motivated enough to go and learn, what we're trying to do is really give them access, the best, easiest, frictionless access to the body of work of decades that were developed, in ARI and other places. And what we're trying to do is educate, impact, and I will talk a little bit about what it means to personalize the experience of understanding objectivism. The third level is really advanced content and growing a community. So what we're trying to do is create the best, excellent, advanced education with OAC. And I'll talk a little bit about some changes we're making in opening it up more even and putting it online. And then grow and connect the community together, which is what we're doing here. And we're trying to get better and better in really facilitating and fostering a growing community of objectivism. And then lastly, to the people who really want to take the last step of committing themselves to make it, to promote objectivism, either as donors, where we're trying to deliver as much value as possible to donors. There are donors with a spectrum of expectations from Ayn Rand Institute, and we're trying to, accommodate a range of expectations, all the way from take my money and just buy books with it and send them to high schools, to I want a community, an engaging community, and I want you to facilitate that community, and a range of other types of values that we're expected to deliver. And on the intellectual development side, people who take the step forward to say, yeah, I want to promote or I want to exercise as an educator, as an influencer. So what we're doing there is nurturing talent and trying to give the best platform for future intellectuals to, I'm going backwards, to become great communicators of objectivism. So those are the 4 steps, and my presentation actually follows those 4 steps. And I'm going to start with the highlights, and I will just say that we did much more this year, but I'm focusing on the highlights. So let's start with awareness. And as I said, the gift of Ayn Rand Heroes is the best thing one can have. So we're doubling down on the Books for Teachers program, and we're thinking about ways to make it even more scalable than ever before. So up until now, we've delivered over 4.3 million books to high schools. And the future that we're focusing on is really moving from physical book distribution to eBooks. And we did a huge step forward by launching an ebook program with partnership with Penguin Random House, who's the publisher of Ayn Rand's books, and other partners, to make sure that we are enabling teachers and students to download the ebooks in a much faster, easier. Of course, the costs are lower, the shipping, the waste. You can imagine all of the things that go into the storage on the right that you can see, or your left, that you can see there, with what it means to get all the orders and fulfill them and ship them and so on and so forth, to a digital delivery. And by the way, when we're moving to digital delivery, that means that any English-speaking classroom can enjoy that. We have the rights to distribute that in English to everywhere in the world. So we're working hard to create a seamless experience. And this is the first website that we've launched. You can see that all a student has to do here is to click on which one of the novels they want to download, and then put a voucher code that we send to their teachers, and they get the book, and they get an ebook reader experience, the same as you get with Kindle. There are a lot of complexities around this, and breaking through firewalls of all kinds of counties and so on and so forth. But we are really committed, and we started a pretty big project to streamline this whole process and to make this digital delivery of the books as streamlined as possible and frictionless as possible. And on top of that, as part of setting up a new website for the eBooks program, we will upgrade all of the teacher guides, the syllabi, the videos, tests, and live webinars that we're doing for classrooms. So in a way, a teacher can knows that when they choose to teach an Ayn Rand novel, it comes as a package with everything they need. So we're building that as well. That will be a longer term investment that we're going to do. But in the end of the day, we want to deliver a product that will be famous with language art teachers, literature teachers, that this is the best, educational project you can give. Not only the books are amazing, but also the Ayn Rand Institute supports you as a teacher in teaching it. And we've launched book discussion groups. We started the Anthem and the Fountainhead. We're very encouraged by the fact that a lot of the people who are joining those discussion groups are new, completely, either as middle school, you see high school students, or college students, or teachers, or parents. So we're going to continue doing that as another layer of support to just getting introduced to Ayn Rand's novels. Let's continue with the other part of awareness, which is introductory content and what we call soft landing pods. So I don't know if you noticed, but we really committed last July to launch a weekly webinar, and that is very hard to do. It requires a lot of commitment. So I'm happy to say that since our launch back in July of 19, we did 85 live talks and interviews, and overall about 3,000 average views per session. And lately, I don't know if you noticed, but we moved from Philosophy for Living on Earth to New Ideal Live because of the pandemic. And you can see that what we've focused on in the beginning was those questions that I talked about that young people ask themselves. What is self-esteem? How do I get it? What are rights and where do they come from? Can there be good without God? What makes Ayn Rand's philosophy distinctive? What's wrong with virtue signaling, and so on and so forth. We've chosen a lot of topics, and then we moved to more pandemic-related topics. As you can see, we've covered many aspects, and I've heard many donors appreciating what we've done, and I can't thank our intellectual team enough with how much they've done in trying to analyze what's going on and then give their analysis, philosophical analysis, so quickly. So a lot of people appreciated what we did, and we're continuing to do that, trying to understand how to think about what we're experiencing these days objectively. I want to say something about what happened in the Institute during the February, March, April timeframe. So you can see those are the online events that we did before. It was hovering between 5 and 10, and how we responded to it. So I really want to take a moment, and we tried that experience before and it doesn't work, but if I could unmute all of you and have a real appreciation and a round of applause to everybody at ARI that did an amazing job, quadrupling and more our capacity in a matter of weeks. So everyone at ARI, I applaud you. I know how hard you're working, and people have been working 14, 16 hours a day to try to deliver what we've delivered. And especially I want to recognize what I call the famous five, the people who create and write in New Ideal, that do all and deliver all of the live events that we do, that teach in OAC. So a special thank you for Ben, Onkar, Ilan, Keith, Aaron, and of course the extended network of intellectuals, including the intellectuals on our board, but specifically to those fives who make everything possible. So a round of applause. I'm sure that if we unmuted everybody, you'll hear a standing ovation. I think hundreds and thousands of people appreciate what you guys do on a daily basis. So thank you. Thank you for doing everything you're doing. I want to move on to the first announcement. Actually, Keith, I have a better prop than this. So here's the first announcement. We are going to launch, as part of our awareness project, a new series, 8 episodes of Introduction to Objectivism. It's a systematic exploration of objectivism as a system of ideas. We've cooperated with Gloria Alvarez, who is doing a great job in facilitating those discussions. So we've hired a studio in Miami, and we got Harry together with Gloria, and then we added Onkar as well. We actually have a clip, but in the sake of time, I won't show it. The production value is amazing. It's beautiful. It's going to be a great series that will be available to anyone who's asking, what is Objectivism? And we're thinking about how to separate that content from our other content into a new asset that will be dedicated to answer the question, what is Objectivism and who is Ayn Rand? So I'm looking forward to see those episodes. They're actually being edited as we speak, and we're going to launch it very soon. The other thing we're doing, we've added a Start Here button to our application and a more mobile app. And what we've put there are all of the things we thought are the best first things to watch. If it's a 2-minute video about who's Ayn Rand and what is Objectivism all about, all the way to an hour and 20 minutes of Leonard talking about Introduction to Objectivism, or Ayn Rand herself introducing Objectivism, or giving the speech, Philosophy, Who Needs It? So we're monitoring, and I'm sure that this will help a lot of people who are downloading, they're seeing Ayn Rand or searching Ayn Rand, and they're seeing there's an application called Ayn Rand University. They download, and instead of just diving deep into 40 hours of introduction or into advanced seminars of Objectivism, we create that soft landing pod for them as well. Let's move to understanding. And what we're trying to do when you're motivated enough to really understand and invest more time in understanding Objectivism. And what we're trying to do, I summarize as a click of a button away. So just to give you an idea where we are, so you see the growth, and we're sustaining that growth and the level of consumption of Objectivist content across 3 main channels. Our ARI campus, that was the first thing we've launched a while back. And you can see, less and less people today are consuming hours of content on the computer. They just do it either on YouTube or on the app on the go. And even if they're consuming our content on the web, they're doing that mostly from the mobile phone. So you can see the green part is ARI Campus, and it's all the same content, by the way. And the red is YouTube, and the gray is the Ayn Rand University. So we're thinking about ways to continue and see that growth, but we're very proud of the jump we were able to do as far as people just consuming Objectivist content. And hopefully that will continue to grow. Another thing that is very important, and I don't know if you noticed, but we more than doubled our subscriber count. And what the subscriber in YouTube means is that I want to hear from you guys. I want to know every time you're uploading a video or doing something new. And I remember when I just joined, I said, how long would it take us to double from about 2025 to 50? And I said, yeah, it'll take us about 1.5 years, and it took us 19 months. So I lost the bet there, but again, I'm very proud that more and more people are choosing to subscribe to our channel and consume the content we put out on an ongoing basis. And you can see the numbers of the app. It's really impressive. Since last year, 30,000 new users, 25,000 lessons completed, and over 46,000 hours of content watched on the app. This is great. And the team behind the app is just amazing. Our partners, Leo Weinstein and his team, just doing a great job making sure that the app is continuously evolving and fixing all kinds of issues and bugs. And we're getting great feedback on the app itself. Another announcement. We will be launching very soon the app in Spanish and Portuguese. And so Spanish is going to be sometime at the end of June, and Portuguese around the August timeframe. What that means is that there are 3 levels of translations that we're doing to the app. One is just the menus, to make sure that all the menus, all the navigation looks just natural. And then all of the metadata of the courses and the descriptions. And then the third layer is, of course, the translations and the subtitles of the courses themselves. So we're launching with the 2 first levels that I talked about complete, of course, and about half of the courses that we have on the app are going to be fully subtitled because that's much more takes much more time consuming. But as we move on, we will do more and more and release silently courses to have full subtitles. So if you have your phone in Spanish as a natural language, you will get an experience that looks 100% in Spanish. So we're adding about approximately 700 million people to our target audience. And if we're getting a fraction of a percent of that, it's still a lot of people who will be able to consume this content, and we'll continue to do that. We've built a technology stack that allows us to translate the app relatively easily. Another thing we're doing in understanding, and we decided to launch it last year, was to make it personal and get closer to people. Of course, then the pandemic happened, but the whole idea was, I don't know if you reflect on your progression in how much you got interested in objectivism. For me and many other people, the first time you met someone, if it was in a meetup somewhere or OCON, it took it to a new level of commitments. Like, wow, there are actually people who are living this. They're smart, they're intelligent. I should maybe take a deeper look into that. So we felt that creating local events will be a good strategy to motivate more people to move from awareness to understanding. And we started executing on this plan. And you can see we actually did all of the events. Unfortunately, sometime around the March timeframe, we had to move to make it live. So the good news, we know how to do it, and we've gotten better in creating and publishing and advertising and then executing on those local events. And we did one in Orange County, San Francisco, in Europe that I'll talk about, that was awesome. And then Dallas. And in March, we moved Philadelphia to be live, and Chicago was live. And of course, OCON is now live. So I want to share with you what it was like to see over 500 students in Warsaw in February. So I'll play a short clip.
This is in the series of what we call Ayn Rand Con. We're introducing a lot of young people, some of the students, some young professionals to Ayn Rand's ideas.
Primarily her ethics, how to live, her guidance in terms of how to live. Well, and it's very interactive, so there's a lot of opportunity to talk to the speakers and to talk to the students, to talk to the participants. It's huge, it's exciting. There were over 550 people here from all over Europe.
500 people who are interested in these ideas, and you can discuss them and you can challenge them.
This guy came up to me with his phone. He's got like 6 questions all lined up, and we just sat there and talked for like half hour. And this happens all the time. There seems to be a lot of interest in it and a lot of good questions.
We're talking about hundreds of people who might share your ideas, who might be intrigued by Ayn Rand, might be intrigued by the ideas of freedom and liberty.
It gives me stimulus and energy for the next month.
It's phenomenal. I enjoy every minute.
It really does not matter how much you have read of Ayn Rand, you will learn new things.
It's not a meeting where everybody agree on everything. No, we are debating a lot.
I don't know any other place where you can spend 3 days talking about the most important questions of your life. So it's really worth it.
We had a vision of one day having a conference with 1,000 people. I think we're getting closer.
It was a wonderful, wonderful event with over 520 people. So think about an OCON Plus experience, all new students, and it was just phenomenal to experience that. And I think what's happening in Europe is that we're building a community slowly but surely of people who are getting more and more interested in the ideas and are coming year over year. It becomes like the European OCON. So we're planning to do it again next year. It's going to be in Prague, like we did in the first year. It's the easiest place for people to travel to. And we're really excited about this. So hopefully we can do that without any issues next year as well, and continue to grow it. And again, as I said, we were really amazed by how the reaction to the fact that we moved the events to be on live. Just in Philadelphia, we had over 2,000 people participating live. So the numbers, as you can see, we thought we're going to reach about 3,000 people in our live events. So unfortunately, the number of in-person event was smaller than expected, but all in all, the number that we're expecting to finish the year with is much, much higher, almost double of what we expected to be. So we're really happy about that. And we will continue, and we are committed to our event strategy of getting closer to people all across the United States and in Europe and in other places. The next thing I want to talk about is when you're already in agreement. We did a couple of things that I was really happy about. I don't know if you caught the Objectivist Top 3 video series. I really enjoyed it. My reading and rereading list got longer and longer. The more I saw people are recommending things that I've read mostly, but haven't read some of it. So great stuff, and I really enjoyed it. And we have another announcement, which is we're going to launch The Power of Ayn Rand. It's going to be a new series of videos, and the intro is going to look like that. It's going to be a series of videos that are going to be talking about the most influential work of Ayn Rand for individual across the community. And so they will be reading a paragraph and then talking about the impact that it had on their lives. So I'm really excited about this. The idea is to really inspire, put it out there as even introductory content of saying if that person who seems intelligent and smart and happy is recommending this, I might want to read. So we're in the process of producing this series, and I'm really looking forward to it. Another thing we're focusing on, of course, on the commitment level, is the people who are going to carry the flame forward. So I'm happy to share with you that we, again, have over 100 participants in year 3, in the 3-year program of OAC. We're delivering over 200 hours of live content, and the feedback from the participants is just super high about the quality of the teaching at OAC. We have 11 people in our what we call advising program. So we're matching graduates and people who are looking for an intellectual career, and we're matching them with our senior intellectuals as advisors. And Greg is running an advanced training philosophy for philosophy PhDs on top of that. So really proud about what's going on in OAC. And if you haven't heard me recommend the auditor program, you can talk to many other people who took my advice and have called me and emailed me about how happy they are. If you have 2.5 hours in a week to join an amazing experience of getting deeper and deeper into objectivism and in philosophy in general, do that. I can't wait for those 2 hours every week to do that. And they're just course after course after course. It gets better and better. And we've also added all of the OAC content to the app. So even the OAC students can consume the content on the go, and it's much easier to consume it right now and see recorded sessions in a structured way on our campus. I want to congratulate 6 people who have already completed all of their assignments of the last year. So if you're there, I'm applauding you: Leopold, Mateusz, Zimowit, Mark Pellegrino, Ricardo, and Tom. All of you guys successfully completed OAC this year, and there are other people who are going to graduate soon once they complete all of their assignments. If you're a graded student, it's really hard. I can tell you as an auditor, I see what they go through, and it's not easy to graduate from OAC. So congrats to all of you here on the slide. The next thing I want to talk about in part of the community is really celebrating objectivism. I want to, instead of give it a title, maybe play something for you.
Hi, Hi, this is Leonard Peikoff here to apply Ayn Rand's philosophy of objectivism to your...
So I don't know if you recognize this, but we are announcing that this year, 2021 for us starts in October. We're going to dedicate the year to celebrating Leonard Peikoff's work, achievements, and it's going to be a 30-year anniversary for OPAR. So a lot of our content, a lot of our focus this year is going to be about celebrating the amazing achievements of Leonard as a philosopher, as an educator, as the founder of the Ayn Rand Institute. And we're going to do several things to do that. So just to kick us off, and I hope the video works, I'm going to share with you a discussion that I had with John Allison, who's a dear member of the board of the Ayn Rand Institute, about the impact that Leonard and OPAR had on his life.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is a short discussion with Mr. John Allison, a dear friend and an ARI board member, about the work of Leonard Peikoff, and especially 30 years celebration of the publication of OPAR. So, hi, John. Let me start with the first question. When did you read OPAR? Was it just as it came out in 91?
I read OPAR about 1993.
Okay.
And at the time, I was CEO of BB&T, had a lot of responsibility, so I was very busy with other areas. But OPAR was a transformational book for me. It had a huge impact on my ability to integrate Rand's philosophy.
What was the experience of reading it? Because I remember when I read it, and I think we share the same kind of response to it, it's like everything suddenly comes together. It's like all the pieces of the puzzle are now in order.
That's exactly right. I had basically read everything that Rand had written that was available, all of her fiction, all of her nonfiction, and I thought I really understood objectivism, but I really didn't. What OPAR did really integrated it together, all the pieces. It showed how it fit. It showed how tight the philosophy was and how powerful it was. It took me over a year to read OPAR because I didn't want to believe all of it. It's kind of funny. it was so rigorous and so demanding that it took me a long time to integrate.
You would read a paragraph and then stop for a couple of minutes just to think about what you just read. Yeah,
that's exactly right. Because every paragraph was tied to every other paragraph. And so I've never read anything that was that tightly integrated.
Right. So what was your feeling when you finished it? What was your feeling towards the book? What did it mean?
It was very liberating in a way for me, because I saw some of my own irrationalities, even though I thought I was acting rationally. And I really love the sense of life that Rand has in her novels, but it's even more powerful if it's expressed in a philosophical way.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And what do you think OPAR represents for objectivism, for the movement, for the long haul, strategically objectivism?
I think OPAR is an incredibly important part of the objectivist literature, and that anybody that's really serious about objectivism needs to not just read, but study OPAR. And I think when they do, they'll really grasp the power of the philosophy at a deep intellectual level. I wish we could get all thoughtful young people to read it. It's a harder book. Atlas Shrugged is fun. Reading OPAR is not exactly fun. It's powerful. It's liberating, but it is not fun to read necessarily.
Great. And one last question about Leonard. You have a relationship with Leonard over the years. Who's Leonard to you?
Leonard's one of my heroes, and I think he made a huge contribution to objectivism. I think OPAR is a huge contribution. It was so meaningful to me that I wanted Leonard to know it, and so I've tried to develop a relationship and a friendship with Leonard at a tremendous level of respect for his intellectual integrity and the insight he had in putting OPAR together and writing OPAR.
And he's one of the best teachers I ever knew. The way he thinks about, the way He teaches you the structure. Objective communication course is mind-blowing.
He is a phenomenal teacher. He's a phenomenal teacher. And part of the phenomenon is he's merciless in a sense, that he won't let you go off with your rationalizations. He pushes you back to the key issues, the key integrations.
Great. What do you think about, taking a year, 2021, to celebrate Leonard's work and achievements over his lifetime of work?
I think Leonard deserves a phenomenal level of recognition for his huge contribution to objectivism, particularly in the dark times when objectivism was struggling after Rand died. And then I think OPAR raised the intellectual integrity of objectivism for anybody that's objective, anybody that's willing to really think about the philosophy. So I think Leonard deserves the highest level of recognition. He's one of my heroes.
Well, John, thank you. We share, the more we talk, it's just obvious to me, we share so many values and so many experiences. So it's a pleasure to have you with us, and thank you for your talk today.
Thank you, Tal. I really enjoy working with you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
So let's move forward. I have another announcement, which is we will be launching a revised, upgraded website for Leonard Peikoff at peikoff.com that we're managing, and it'll be under the ARI domain as well. Just to give you an idea how it will look like, this is a good presentation here of the of what it'll look like. So it'll have featured content of all of Leonard's work. It'll have, of course, all of the information about him and his development. We'll share videos that were never seen before. I'll share one with you later in this presentation. His impact, his books, his podcasts, his courses and lectures, essays and articles. And another thing I'm going to talk about, which is his radio and TV shows. So I don't know if all of you heard Leonard's radio shows and TV shows, but we're in the process of digitizing a lot of them and putting them online. This is a clip of Leonard talking to John Little about, one of his most favorite passages in the Fountainhead.
I'm interested, Leonard, in the fact that one book, The Fountainhead, had a profound impact on your life. A lot of people haven't read it. A lot of people have. But what is it about that book that spoke to you? What were the passages that you found particularly meaningful?
Well, do you want to hear some of them?
Yeah, I'd love to hear some of them.
It's hard to select because I just as soon read you the whole book, but I think that would take a little too much time. Now, the last thing I might quote to you is the scene with the boy on the bicycle. There's a young boy just out of school, out of college, and he's looking for the meaning of life. And he happens by Monadnock Valley, which is a huge architectural project that Rourke has just designed. Very brilliant, ingenious, and beautiful. And he wheels his bike and he sees this project, and then he sees a man, and then it's the encounter between the man, of course, is Rourke. And this will give you an idea of, I was the boy on the bicycle, and this is the inspiration. It states the inspiration that I got from the book. Of course, she wrote it long before she knew me. That isn't real, is it? The boy asked, pointing down. Why, yes, it is now, the man answered. It's not a movie set or a trick of some kind? No, it's a summer resort. It's just been completed. It will be opened in a few weeks. Who built it? I did. What's your name? Howard Rourke. Thank you, said the boy. He knew that the steady eyes looking at him understood everything these two words had to cover. Howard Rourke inclined his head in acknowledgement. Wheeling his bicycle by his side, The boy took the narrow path down the slope of the hill to the valley and the houses below. Rourke looked after him. He had never seen that boy before, and he would never see him again. He did not know that he had given someone the courage to face a lifetime. And that is exactly what I got from this book.
And that was what Ayn Rand gave you, wasn't it?
That's exactly what she gave me, yes. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
The courage to face a lifetime.
So I can choke just hearing this.
The courage to face a lifetime. So that is very inspiring to me. We're going to share many more videos, and we're digitizing the radio shows. You can see more than 400 of them. Just to give you a glimpse of what a radio show is, this is an intro of how it sounded like when they started.
Back to you in 3, 2, 1.
Hi there, this is Leonard Peikoff welcoming you to the Leonard Peikoff Show. As always, I stand for reason, for egoism, and for laissez-faire capitalism, and you will too if you listen long enough.
Okay, if you listen long enough, you
support the right ideas. Okay, so this is a little bit about what we're going to do. And just the last announcement I have is that next OCON, you can see June 29th to July 5th. It's going to be over July 4th celebration in Washington, D.C., which will be exciting by itself. We're going to dedicate the theme of OCON to be around the 30 years of OPAR and really understanding what that means and so on. So this is exciting. I think it'll be a great theme for next OCON. I've already heard some people get super excited about what they're going to talk about. So this is what we're going to do next year. Hopefully, we can see you all in person in DC. And by the way, just wanted to let you know that we've done some analysis of Leonard Peikoff's courses specifically. And you can see the growth in the consumption of courses of Leonard Peikoff. So this is exciting. His courses and lectures have never been more consumed, now they're consumed more than ever before. The last thing I want to do is I want to bring on the first, again, CEO of the Ayn Rand Institute, Dr. Mike Berliner. Mike, are you on?
I'm on. Are you hearing me?
Yes. So let me stop my share for a second so everybody can see you. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
I wanted to, because I don't think that a lot of people know too much about what is the Ayn Rand Archives. Can you give us a little bit of a background of the Ayn Rand Archives?
Sure. The Ayn Rand Archives contains really the physical legacy of Ayn Rand that we're preserving. And it consists of two major collections. There's the Ayn Rand papers and everything else, what I'll call the special collections. The star of the show is the Ayn Rand papers, which consists solely of papers that she herself owned and left to Leonard Peikoff, her heir, when she died in 1982. And there's a wide range of materials in these papers. There are manuscripts, drafts of manuscripts, there are letters, there are journals, there are daily calendars, there's notes she made, there are photographs, there are hundreds of clippings from the New York Times that she made and have her marginal comments. There are also some personal artifacts of hers, such as books and jewelry and even a couple of stuffed animals. So that's the Ayn Rand papers. It's a closed collection. It's just what she had at that time. But we also have an open collection, which is called the special collections. It's manuscripts and the like of about Ayn Rand and Objectivism that the Institute has been acquiring since we started 35 years ago. And that includes all kinds of things, from audio and video recordings, oral history interviews, papers of prominent objectivists. It has history materials going back to the NBI days in the 50s and 60s, and it has some Russian materials going back to Ayn Rand's first 2 decades in the USSR. But we also have some artifacts, and my personal favorite is the large metal, the actual, I lost the category for a second, the actual mailbox from the apartment building that the O'Connors lived in 1933. Unfortunately, her hidden or lost manuscripts were not inside the mailbox, but we have that mailbox. Now, I think the important thing to know about this material is that, with the possible exception of the mailbox, it's not just sitting there like in a museum. It's actually being used. And a couple of years ago, I did some research on that, actually finished it last year, about that use. And archive material, and that does not include Ayn Rand's novels or her nonfiction, actual archive material has been cited hundreds and hundreds of times by books, academic articles, PhD dissertations, and the like. So the material is being used, and it is furthering the Institute's aim of increasing awareness of the existence and content of objectivism. So that's the kind of the background of the archives. Now, you want me to go into?
Yeah, maybe we will start talking about specific project, which is putting the letters of Ayn Rand online. Can you tell us a little bit about that project?
Sure. This project is really the first instance of moving the Ayn Rand papers online, and it is a new edition of Letters of Ayn Rand. The original one, which I'll plug here, is the Penguin edition from 1995. This edition is really a new edition, not just a new edition in name only. It's not the 1995 Penguin edition put up online. It's actually 30% longer than that edition by word count. So the question is, what makes it new? Well, one thing that makes it new is that there are more than 50 letters that were not in the Penguin edition, and these are mainly letters that we did not even know about in 95. The second thing that makes it new is commentary. The Penguin edition had very little commentary. That was Penguin's decision. This edition, I've written a lot of new commentary, and the commentary could come just before or just after a letter. For example, it could explain the context of the letter if that's not obvious from the content. It could give you some idea about the connection of Ayn Rand to the recipient, or it could just be biographical information about the recipient, but it's geared to make reading the letter more interesting and more meaningful. There's also a lot of after the letter material, follow-up material, which I particularly enjoyed coming up with, because it's an answer to the question that people have when reading a letter. Well, whatever happened to that? Whatever happened to that person? What happened with that issue? So I've tried to fill in information about that. For example, Ayn Rand wrote many letters to her publishers with suggestions like, what about that cover for Anthem, the paperback Anthem? Couldn't you do a little something different with the artwork? Or she might have an idea about promoting a book or advertising a book, even advertising copy. So the follow-up material will give the readers some idea about what did happen, how did they respond, and did they ever take her advice? Of course, sometimes it wasn't just advice, it went beyond that, but a lot of times it was advice. So, and there's also material about, when it's relevant, a particular person. I think you have a slide somewhere, Tal, that shows one of the letters that, yeah, right there on the right of the screen. That's part of the letter, actually the first letter in the book that she wrote to Lev Beckerman, who, as you might know, was her first love and the model for Leo in We the Living. At the time that the book was put together for Penguin in 1995, we didn't know very much about him, but since we found out a lot more. For example, we had the 900 letters from her family in Russia translated, so we learned a bit about him from that. And we also, I think in the late 90s, hired someone in Moscow to look into the Soviet official documents, so we learned more about him. So that kind of thing will be there in the as a follow-up commentary on the letters. So that's pretty much the changes in content, and there will also be some changes in formatting. For example, the screen that you'll see when you're reading a letter will be split down the middle. On one side will be an image of the original letter, which probably is handwritten, typewritten, but could be handwritten, or the typewritten letters a lot of times have handwritten editing. You'll be able to zoom in, particularly on your handwriting, which is not real easy to decipher, so it'll help you to do that. On the other side of the screen will be a transcript of the letter, and it will be searchable. In fact, the whole book will be searchable. It's like you search any Word document, so they'll be side by side as you read through a letter. And the final innovation, which I'm looking forward to, is that the readers will have an opportunity to email me with any further questions they might have. And I'll do my best to answer them or find somebody who can. And I really like that because I enjoy digging into historical puzzles. So that's basically the new project. It's coming up, I think, in a couple weeks. The first chapter will be unveiled. That's 1926 and 1936. And ARI will be sending out heads-up information about when it's coming out and how to access it. So that's a basic. I hope everybody does. Hope you take a look, and I hope you enjoy it.
Awesome. So, Mike, thank you so
you.
much for this. And thank you to Jennifer Woodson, who's behind this project as well as our archivist. We're really excited about it. As Mike said, we're going to launch it in June. So stay tuned for more information about this exciting project that we're embarking in. As we go into the future, we'll be releasing more and more into this website. Lastly, thank you, Mike. Appreciate the time and everything
Welcome.
you're doing as a volunteer in the archives. Very much appreciated. The last thing I wanted to mention is funding. I see all of you as stakeholders at ARI, so it's important that you just know the reality of where we are and how much fuel we have in the tank. What I'd like to say is that we, as I think I mentioned last year, but I want to say more about it, having predictable revenue is by itself important to us, not just the amount of money, but the ability to plan forward, which allows us to just stay focused on what we're doing rather than, fluctuations of cash flow. So you will hear us over and over this year asking you to become ARI members. And I want to tell you what that means. It means that you're committing to us on a, long-term basis, and we can plan forward to know what we can and cannot afford to do. This is specifically important right now because, cash flow fluctuations really doesn't allow us to plan into the future, and we have to start and stop projects, and that's really disturbing. So if you can, if you're a one-time giver in Q4, usually when you're doing your taxes and you're giving us, I don't know, $1,500, moving to a $100 a month subscription is going to be better for us. So I really urge you to go to our membership page and just decide if you want to start or maybe upgrade your membership. This is really will be the best thing for us. So you can see I've shared with you what we have right now, we nearly 600 members, and that revenue, which is so predictable, it allows us to do a lot. So thank you for everyone who's an ARI member, and you'll see us doing more and more member-only events like the roundtables we've started that a lot of people love, and I love as well. It's great to connect and get exclusive content. So all the perks are in the website here, and I don't know if you noticed, but use it. We are introducing additional discounts for next OCON. So if you're planning to come to DC and be there with us, use this. This is on top of the time-based discounts that we're giving. And of course, if you want to give us more than $250 a month, you want to be a benefactor level, please talk to us at Donor Services, and we'll be happy to share with you more and more. So lastly, I want to recognize the hundreds of people. For me, this is really emotional to meet people who are so dedicated to the mission of spreading Ayn Rand's ideas and preserve her legacy. Give us the biggest gift of all, which is their estate. So if you're interested to learn more about Atlantis legacy, please talk to our team, to Kathy Cross. We have a new member, Anna Steinberg, who joined us in Atlantis legacy. So if you're interested, there's a website filled with generic information about estate planning that I actually plan using very soon. Just how to plan giving, your planned giving. So we have the website of Atlantis Legacy. Please check it out. So with that, I want to thank you all for being so supportive. It's a privilege on a daily basis to wake up and just do what we do and get so much support. And meeting you all guys, everyone in person and virtually in the last 2.5 months was just a daily inspiration for us. So thank you for supporting us. And
so you mentioned that we have donor roundtables. So I think maybe people don't know what those are. So if you're anyone who signs up as an ARI member, one of the perks of being a member is we have periodic roundtables where they're exclusive to ARI members, and we talk about different things. If people have questions about the archives discussion, we could have a whole member roundtable devoted to the archives. If you want to have more, if you have questions about ARI's programs, we could have a roundtable devoted to that. So let us know what you're interested in. Sign up as a member. If you have questions based on this presentation, we could do a roundtable on that and spend a whole hour on it.
Thanks for watching. To help keep content like this free, consider supporting ARI by becoming a member at aynrand.org/membership.